Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I sure do appreciate it. And keep on sending those questions and suggestions. I love it. I will do my best to answer them and get back to you and maybe even use some of it in a video. Now, believe it or not, I still check the Fractal forum daily and I still have my FM9 Turbo. But there's not been a whole lot to report Fractal-wise because while there's been some firmware updates for the XFX3, there's been nothing for the FM9 or the FM3 for months. Until now. FM9 firmware version 6.00 public beta 1 came out this past Tuesday. And wow, what an update. I won't go over everything in the release notes because it would just take too long. I'll hit on some of the highlights though. Gapless preset /scene /channel switching. New amp models. New drive models. New spring reverb algorithm and new models. New plate reverb algorithm. New optical tremolo algorithm. Improved intelligent and noise reducer gate types in the input block. Improved or updated 7 amp models. And then there was almost a dozen fixes. Now FM9 Edit has also been updated to reflect these changes. Well, of course, the big question on everybody's mind is, does gapless switching work? The answer is yes, it does. Right now, there's been some reports of a 2 to 3% CPU hit, but I think that's about it. As for me, I think it's worth it, especially when you compare switching from preset to preset on the FM9 before installing this update. Now, I don't gig out anymore, and honestly, I'm not sure if my back will ever let me gig out anymore, but if I were, gapless switching would be way, way, way important, because if I'm switching between scenes or between presets in a song, even if the audience doesn't hear it, I'll hear it, and it will drive me crazy. Anyway, back to the firmware. Gapless switching is not automatically switched on after you install this firmware. First, you've got to install the firmware, so you've got firmware 6.00 beta, then go up to settings, and click refresh after new firmware. Once that's done, click on setup, config, and then under effect mixing, set spillover to all. Underneath that are the gapless options. There's all, channel /scene, or off. I chose all. Now you have to save all of the presets that you want to switch to and from gaplessly. In other words, they have to be saved under this new firmware. Now, I saved all of my presets using the batch parameter change utility. Do a shift right click on something like output 3, and a little box that says set in multiple presets pops up. Click on it, then you get your list of all your presets. Now, what I did was highlight all of them, like that, and then clicked on save. Now, I've already done it, so I don't have to do it. Now, as you see, I didn't have to change any parameter, but it still let me save each preset that I selected. And thanks to Austin Buddy for that tip. It took around 5 minutes to go through all 512 preset slots. And then it was time to test it out. Let me show you how it sounds now. Let's try out gapless switching. I'll just step through some presets. Now let's try switching through some scenes. So that should give you an idea how the gapless switching is working. I think it's working great. There's just no way to go through all of the changes because we'd be here for a few hours going over everything. This is one of those releases that packs a good 3 or 4 XFX3 firmware releases into one. I'm guessing that there are well over 60 fixes, improvements, or additions. Anyway, let's take a short look at the updated reverb models. All right, let's try that tube spring reverb. Now let's try the London plate. Now we'll try the new drive models. All right, I'm using the ODS 100 clean amp. Let's try the Nobelium OVD1. Now let's try the Sunrise Splendor. And lastly, let's try the Gauss drive. Here's a quick run-through of the new amp models. The JS410 lead green, the Brit 800 2203 high, the Brit 800 2203 low, the 5153 100 watt Stealth Blue, the 5153 100 watt Stealth Green, the 5153 100 watt Stealth Red, and the USA Mark V Green, and now I have another preset that has all 6 of the new USA Mark V Red models. Here's the USA Mark V Red 2C Plus. Here's the USA Mark V Red 2C Plus Bright. Here's the USA Mark V Red Mark IV. Here's the USA Mark V Red Mark IV Bright. Here's the USA Mark V Red XT. And here's the last one, the USA Mark V Red XT Bright. I also made a new demo song that uses new amp models and updated effects. Let's give it a listen. So that was a pretty brief look at the FM9 6.00 public beta firmware. Now so far, it seems to be pretty stable. There's only been one bug report and they're not sure if it might be user error. So let's hope this goes into production release as soon as possible. All right, now next Wednesday, we'll be having all new content. You don't want to miss that. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll be talking with you next week.